Kayla Cox, and I did my internship at Liberty Tax Service. It lasted from January 3rd to April 18th, so I just finished up last week. And it's located on Brick Street in Princeton, beside Nationwide and a pet store. Okay, a little bit how I got the internship. It was kind of a combination of knowing the right people and being at the right place at the right time. A local businessman, his name is Sam Baker, he owns Nationwide, and he's a family friend, and my family's been insured through him for years. He learned of my upcoming graduation with an emphasis in accounting, and he owns Liberty Tax as well, so he told my parents to tell me to give him a call whenever tax season was approaching. I did just that, and then the manager, Deborah Bailey, called me and told me that they would love to have the extra help. And after I worked there for a couple weeks, I actually found out that I wasn't the first Concord intern to work there. Sam Baker's son actually worked there for internship credit as well. And also, I was in a really good place. I just actually left my last job, and I was getting ready to start my last semester here, and I kind of strategically planned it to be a pretty easy semester. I only had 3 classes, so it was the perfect time to take on a full-time internship. And then all I had to do really was take a 3-part test about taxes to show that I knew what I was doing, which was pretty convenient because last semester I took the federal and state taxation class, so all the stuff was fresh in my mind. And then they send me a tax preparer number to go on every return that I did. Here's a little bit of the timeline of the company. In 1997, the company started as a result of an acquisition of UNR Tax Department in Canada. And then in 1998, it was called Liberty Tax Service when they opened up 5 offices in the United States. The International Franchise Association honored the CEO, John Hewitt, as Entrepreneur of the Year in 2006. In 2010, Accounting Today named Liberty Tax to its top tax firms list. And then in 2011, Liberty Tax announced that they were going to go from private to public, and they reached 3,900 locations. And today, Liberty Tax is on the top 20 franchises for your buck list for Forbes magazine. Some information about the local office, that's it right there. And like I said, local businessman Sam Baker opened it in 2004, and then a year later he opened up another office in Bluewell. This past tax season we processed over 1,300 tax returns for a small office who essentially only has 5 employees, the manager and then the other employees there. Danny and I, it was actually both of our first year to do taxes. The products and services that they offer, we offer paper or electronic filing of federal and state tax returns. The electronic ones are filed on a program called LibTax 2011, where we just type in all the W-2, 1099, all that information, and then we use the main computer in the back to transmit all the returns that we've done on all the front computers. And we transmit them to the IRS, and then about an hour later we get an acknowledgement report that says that the IRS did receive them. And then the paper is for extenuating circumstances, like for instance, one problem that we kept occurring was the senior tax credit for West Virginia. It's for senior citizens, and for some reason on the electronic program it wouldn't pick up because it's only for state. So what we would do is print it off, have them sign it, and then we would mail it in. And then of course we offer tax consultation and advice. Whenever people were doing their taxes, we let them know what they could do to prevent having to owe maybe the next year, or just advice overall on everything. We offered refund anticipation loans, which are for people who need their refund fast. What it basically is if your return's at least $2,000, you can apply for our bank, Republic Bank, to pay your fees for you and give you $1,500 of your return in 24 to 48 hours. And then they get the remainder minus our fees and the bank fee, and 8 to 15 days later. The fee for that was $61 plus a transmitter fee of $20. So they had to take that out, plus a transmitter fee, plus our fees. So they paid more, but they got their money back really quick. or they could just get their amount in 8 to 15 days and the bank would pay their fees, and that one was about $40 cheaper. So it was really just up to what the customer wanted. And then we also offered tax return amendments and extensions, which I'll talk about in just a minute. My general job duties, I did general office work. I made phone calls, I answered phone calls, I filed paperwork. Accounting services, some people would come in with a business or a farm, and one guy individually brought in like a crate that you carry liters of pop in, and I had all of his receipts for the year, and it wasn't separated or anything, so we had to go through and separate them and add them up and put them where they needed to be and everything. We distributed checks whenever customers did a refund anticipation loan. They got their checks printed there, direct deposit, so when the checks were printed there, we distributed them to the customers. We'd give them a call. Transmitting returns, like I said, we would go to the back computer and transmit every hour or two all the returns that we had done. And then customer service, some people, you had to deal with people that weren't happy because the return wasn't there when it's supposed to be, or in general, you just had to deal with customers. And then, like I said, we did do tax consultation and advice. I also prepared and filed extensions. It's for people who had a reason for not being able to file their return by the April 17th deadline, and it gave them permission to file later in the year, and that's a picture of the form right there. Also filing amendments, which is a cool concept. I actually did this for myself. It's whenever you amend your past year's return for a reason. I personally did mine for 2010 because I did mine by paper and pencil and I didn't know about the education credit. So I filled mine out for 2010. In about 8 weeks, my bank account's going to be $1,000 more because I'm going to get the education credit. And you can do that up to 3 prior years. And then preparing and filing state tax returns. We didn't just do West Virginia, we did all states, mostly West Virginia, but some people came in who had lived in other states or worked in other states. And then we prepared and filed, of course, federal tax returns. We did personal and, like I said, business, farm, all of those. The key points that I learned was the busiest time of tax season is at the very beginning and at the very end. The very beginning is full of people who need the money and they need it quick. So they get there as quick as they can. They actually file their return without getting all of their W-2s, and then they want to amend it later and add more W-2s just so they could get the money quick. We actually did 150 tax returns before we could even transmit them to the IRS. So the first batch had about 150 returns in them that we had worked on the week before. And then at the very end, you have the people who know that they have to owe a lot of money, so they wait until the very last second to do it. And then from the beginning to the middle of the season, the phone is always ringing because you have the people that filed early and they're calling, and it's always like, is my check there? Is my check there? Because for some reason they think that we're going to hold their checks from them. I don't really understand why, but the phone was always ringing. And then the immense amount of paperwork calls for extensive organization. One thing about the office is that it didn't really have a good organization system. So I'm kind of a neat freak, so me and the other guy that was new, he's a military guy, we kind of took on that whole task together to like organize all the paperwork a lot better than it was. There's never downtime, there's always stuff to do. You'll either have a walk-in, or you have an appointment, or you have a drop-off at return to do, or you can file paperwork, or you can make phone calls, or you can call people that haven't came in yet that were previous customers to remind them. And another thing is I didn't realize was customers blame the tax preparers first. We had to deal with a lot of customers that were unhappy. The IRS, which is the next point, they're not perfect. They had several problems this year processing tax returns. Like I said, the first batch we sent in a lot. Well, that whole first week that they were accepting them, their system jammed because they took on a new system and they never tried it out, and so it jammed. So everyone's tax return was about 2 to 3 weeks late. And then we got all the customers blamed us. They said we didn't send them in when we were supposed to. And it was just pretty stressful. And that was just one of the times that the system got jammed. It actually got jammed 3 times throughout the season. So it was stressful at those points. The experience, It was the first personal experience where I applied the academic knowledge that I got here in a real life job setting. Many concepts learned from accounting classes were there, but especially federal and state taxation, because I mean it's about taxes, so it appeared all throughout the job. I learned things about taxes and the tax season that the book just couldn't teach me. Like I said, it can be really stressful. And then I also learned that that more people than I thought try to manipulate the system. People can come in there and they'll have a notebook saying that they babysat for the whole year when really they didn't work at all, but they have to have earned income to get the earned income credit. And then they walk out with about a $10,000 return. And I didn't know people could do that, but I mean, if they have proof that they worked and they sign off on the paper saying it's true, there's nothing that we can do about it. And then you have people who've worked their whole entire life and end up having to owe tons of money, and it's just not fair. But I did not realize that. And then also when it's a small business, so like I said, we only had 5 employees, so everyone does everything. Like no one was just answering the phone, no one was just doing tax returns. Everybody did everything. But I had a great experience. I would recommend doing an internship to all business students, especially accounting. I've been searching for jobs the past 2 weeks actually for the past month on Monster and like Career Builder and stuff, and a lot of them prefer students who have had an internship. The manager out there at Liberty Tax said that she would love to have extra help next year if anybody wants to do it. I think myself's leaving and another girl's leaving, so she'll only be down to 3 employees, so she'll have plenty of room for a couple more. And then the best part about it was a paid internship, and you got a pretty sweet bonus at the end. I just got my bonus last week. It's 6% of every fee you charge every customer. So, and then it compiles to the end, and you get a check for this lump sum of bonus. And I did about 170 returns throughout the tax season, and I was pretty satisfied with my bonus. So, any questions?